Hi there everybody, it's Kirsty here from My Home Truths again for another Facebook Live. And I do these every week, and on a Monday I talk about challenges of the week. So I pick a challenge that I'm dealing with at the moment, and I share the ways that I'm trying to deal with it myself. And I invite you guys to do the same. So if you have any challenges you want to share, please let me know in the comments, or message me and we can try and work through things. But my challenge for this week is something that I've written about, and the post will be live tomorrow, and it's about gift giving and autism. Now, we're getting to that pointy end of the year where we're doing all the gifts for everybody in the lead up to Christmas. And I know for a fact that it can be quite daunting to work out what to give someone on the spectrum, because sometimes their interests and their gift ideas, etc., are not sort of, the normal, or what you would normally think of for, a child, for instance, at that age. And I have one golden rule when it comes to gift giving and autism, and that is, particularly for kids, is to talk to the parent or the caregiver and ask them for their advice on what to give. I think the worst thing you can do is to just give something random, or to give something that you think another child would enjoy. I think you're always best off making sure that you talk to someone first, and so you've got a best chance of buying something that the child will actually enjoy. And there's a few reasons for this, and I thought I'd go through some of them today. Just to explain for those of you who might not understand why it's really important, and to hopefully, get the understanding of others who are in the same situation. So probably the first reason that I wouldn't just go and buy anything for someone on the spectrum is if you go and buy something that is, age appropriate. So for instance, Lego for boys, dolls, etc. for girls, you might find that the child on the spectrum won't be interested in that stuff at all, that they will have completely different interests. I cannot count the number of unopened boxes of toys and things we've received over the years for Gilbert. He doesn't play with toys, not even when he was a baby. He was always interested in books. And so he has an overflowing bookcase that we need to somehow work out how we're going to replace, because it doesn't fit his books anymore, but he doesn't like change, so we've got to try and work that out. And, we've got this wardrobe full of toys that were given to him, so he won't give them away to anybody else because they're the gifts he was given, but he will never open them or use them because they're not what he's interested in. So I think it's really important to not just go with whatever you think an age-appropriate gift is for someone on the spectrum, because there's a very good chance that it won't be something that they enjoy. And, if you want to minimise any risk of, upset, meltdown, or just plain, unexpected disinterest or rudeness sort of, on the day that you give the gift, I would definitely talk to the parent or caregiver about what best to give them. The second reason it relates to special interests, and you might think, great, I know, my nephew's got this special interest, it might be Thomas, I'm going to buy the Thomas train, so easy to buy for. I would really be careful about that, only because I know from personal experience that you might give your child that the child might be interested in Thomas, but they may have a very specific way that they're collecting. It might be you might buy them a toy train that isn't in the actual range that they want it to be in. You might get them a train that is out of order in what they're collecting. You might give them a train that's been bought on eBay and isn't in its original packaging, so it's not acceptable. You might buy a train that's in a range that they're not interested in, they've already dismissed. So even though you might think that buying something in the child's special interest is the way to go, I know from experience they're very specific in what they want, so really ask what Lego set don't they have if it's Lego they're interested. Ask specifically what you can get them that will actually make them happy and not make them upset on Christmas Day. Very quickly, experience that I had even with my own son, and I should know better. He loves cricket. He wanted cricket DVDs for his birthday. This is this year, so this is back in March. So I bought him some cricket DVDs. But what he really wanted was cricket DVDs that weren't just highlights, that were actually full matches. Now, you can't buy them because test matches go for days, are really intensely boring, and most cricket DVDs will have just highlights in them. So I did what I could. I bought him, I think it was one on the greatest players, and there was another one about Australia's World Cup win in, 20 2009 or whatever year it was, I don't know. He, to this day, still hasn't touched them. He has not opened them up. And these were given to him back in March. So even I get it wrong. So just be careful about that. Really understand if you want to give them a gift related to their special interest, really understand what that is and what they're after, because you could actually upset them even more by giving them something that doesn't actually fit in or relate to what they're really interested in. So I'd be really careful about that. The other thing to keep in mind is sensory issues. So you might want to give them the in toy of the year. And the in toy of the year is usually something that has lots of lights, lots of sounds, lots of movement, lots of interaction. A lot of kids on the spectrum have sensory issues. They might find this toy not good. They might find they get very upset and trigger a sensory meltdown with this toy. So really be careful with things like that. I can think back to Gilbert when he was a baby and we gave him a tad. It was a tad bear or something. It was a leapfrog learning device, and it had lights on it. We thought this would be great because at that stage we didn't know about his autism, but we knew about his albinism. This had lots of lights and sound. We thought this would be perfect for him as a learning device and as a sensory thing for him as a baby. Except he hates sounds. So even to this day, he hates any of us listening to devices or, without headphones. He just doesn't want to listen to what we're listening to, has a lot of issues with noise. So any toy over the years that's had a sound component, he's really, really not liked and has had a lot of issues with. So think about that from the perspective of the child on the spectrum, and understand by talking again to their parent or caregiver what would be a good alternative, because it could very well be that toy is not a good one for them at all and will actually, instead of giving them pleasure, give them a lot of pain and discomfort from those sensory issues. The last thing that I would keep in mind when it comes to gift giving and autism is gift cards and vouchers and certificates. We've learned to our cost over the years that abstract concepts like a gift card can be very difficult for our son to grasp. He was given one year and honestly thought he'd been dudded by the person who gave it to him. He thought it was just a way of getting out of a present. He did not understand that the gift card was a way that he could go to the shop at a later date and buy his own gift, buy something that suited him. The issue was there was no immediate gratification on opening that gift, and just no understanding that this is what a gift voucher entitles you to do. So I'd be really, really careful about giving gift cards and vouchers to people on the spectrum. And if you wanted to do that, and look, I do it all the time to my nephews and nieces because I don't know what to give them, talk to their parent first to get them to understand, and to get an understanding of whether the child will sort of truly accept that the gift card is a gift, that they're not going to get unduly upset by opening up and getting a piece of paper or a card that isn't actually a present. So that's something I would definitely keep in mind coming up to Christmas. It is such an easy thing to do, and I know most kids love them, but just be warned that when it comes to kids on the spectrum, sometimes they will need to be guided, and it may not be the best option in lieu of an actual gift that they can feel and see and is tangible to them. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. So the golden rule for gift giving, and this is obviously a challenge we're all facing at the moment for someone on the spectrum, is to check with their parent or caregiver, find out what do they really want. Because with all gifts, we want to give, we want it to be a token of our love, and we want to give it to them to celebrate the season. We don't want to bring on upset. So definitely think about that. So, think about age-appropriate gifts and check if they're okay. Look at special interests and make sure that what you're buying is actually what the child actually wants and isn't going to upset them because it's coming out of order or not in the packaging they're used to, etc. Think about the sensory details of any toy or any gift that you're giving, and make sure that that's not going to set any sensory triggers off for the child. And also think, as I said again, about gift cards and vouchers, and whether, make sure that the person who's going to be receiving them actually understands what they're for, and they're not going to get unduly upset because of the fact that it's not a gift in its own right at that present time. So there's some ideas and some experiences we've had over the years with gifts and autism. I'd love to hear your own. So if you've got any tips or any issues that you've experienced over the years, please let me know, because it's a challenge we all face. And as I said, I'm still getting it wrong. My son is 12. I should know better, but I'm still not getting it right, even as a parent. So I do my best, and this year I've tried to be as specific as possible to my relatives who have asked about Gilbert and what to give him. So fingers crossed he'll be getting some things that he really does, that he really will enjoy and he'll really appreciate. But there's nothing worse on Christmas Day as having a child who's upset or melts down or seems to be ungrateful for what they're given. So just a little bit of understanding and pre-thought might make it obviously a better day for everybody. So hopefully these help you, and they'll help you through the challenging times ahead. And I'll join you again on Friday for my wins the week. Fingers crossed I'll have some. I've had some every week to this point, so let's hope that's the same again. So I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you later on now. There will be a post coming out tomorrow about this topic as well, so look forward to that, and hopefully that might give a few more ideas and a few more explanation of some of the stuff I've talked about today. So thanks again for joining me. Talk to you later. Bye.